All right. So let's look at bar chord exercises today, and we'll look at different stages of exercises that you can use to develop the strength to play bar chords, and we'll make them progressively harder, right? So what we're going to do is you go to the 5th fret. That's where we're going to stay for most of this video. And what you want to know right at the start is how much pressure it takes to get a clear sounding note. So you can do this even on one string. So I'm just going to touch the string with my finger. I'm not going to press it down. I'm just laying my finger on the string, and that's the sound I get. All right. And I'm going to slowly add pressure until I get a clear note. So what you're going to realize is you're not putting 100% pressure. You're not squeezing really hard. That's the first thing to understand. You don't need to do that in order to get a clear note. The second thing that you should keep in mind is when you have the strumming hand that's kind of anchoring the guitar down here, with this hand, when you're playing a bar chord, or even if you're playing a single note, if you pull your elbow back, because of the counter pressure that's here, you'll be able to play the full note, right? You can add that much more pressure, but you're not wasting a lot of energy with your fingers or your wrist trying to really squeeze to get that note out. So keep those two things in mind. How much pressure do you actually need to get a clear note? And be smart about applying force to get that clear note. Okay, first thing you can do is just try to play a bar. Just try to press down all 6 strings and see if you can get a bar. Play one string at a time, right? And see if all are ringing out clearly or if they're not. If they're not, that's perfectly fine. That's what we're going to work on. So let's start with the smallest bar, which is a bar of 2 strings. So on the B and E strings on fret number 5, I'm going to put my finger down, flatten it against the strings so that I can play both strings with one finger. And my goal is just going to be trying to get this little bar, or this mini bar, so to speak. Right? That's it. You're comfortable with that? Add another string. Same principle, you can pull your elbow back. Alright, add a 4th string when you're comfortable with that. Alright, let's go to string number 5 onwards. And finally all 6 strings. Now this is going to take time to develop, right? To get that clarity within the notes, it takes some time. The key here is repetition and consistency. If you're at the two string stage, just work on that a little bit every day. Just clarity right there. That's all. What you want is a clear note. That's it. And progressively add strings to the bar as you're playing it. But the priority is a clear note, a good clear note, right? So if this is where you are, stay right there. Okay? The next thing that you can do to develop the bar strength is, first of all, this is over and above just trying to play the bar on all 6 strings. Sometimes, for some people, the way it's worked is they've just kept going at it until they got a clear sound, and that it worked out for them. So everybody develops differently, and different things work for different people. So when you find out that with a certain exercise, or even if you're modifying this exercise a little bit, that works out better for you, then you should do that, right? If you get more out of it in that way, that's perfectly fine, right? But this is where you can begin. Just progressively increase the number of strings you're playing, the priority being clear note. All right. Now here's another thing you can do. And this is an exercise that my instructor, when I was doing some classical guitar, taught me. It's a great exercise. It was very, very helpful. So you place your finger across all 6 strings. And what you're going to do is you're going to play one note, and then you're going to mute or play muted notes the rest of the strings. So if I start on the top string, the E string, okay, I'm going to play the E string or the A note on the E string, and I'm going to mute or play the muted note on all the other strings. So I'll do that again. Press down, lift up. Now I'm going to add the E and A strings. So I press down, play the top 2, lift up, add another string. Then add another string. And so on and so forth, and you finish off the last 2 strings just like that. Now what this does is this helps you to develop more sensitivity along your finger when you want to play certain notes within the bar. Now this comes in handy if you're playing, let's say I'm playing a D minor, and I lift off the middle finger and I want the note that's within the bar. So an exercise like this helps you to develop that sensitivity and develop your finger to that point where you can emphasize the different strings within the bar if you need to. It's very helpful to be able to do that, and it will come as the strength develops when you play the bar. All right. So exercise number 1, very quickly, just to recap, was start with 2 strings and keep adding strings to it. Remember the principle of pulling your elbow back and not squeezing very, very hard, right? And the second exercise being playing the complete bar and progressively pressing down to add more and more strings into the bar. Now, please keep in mind it's a process, right? You may see wonderful results on day 1, you may see wonderful results on day 4. The main thing is keep at it. So there comes a point, and I'm sure that you've had this when you've tried anything else with the guitar. Let's say it's playing chords with clarity. There comes a point where just with repetition, it just clicked. At one point, it just clicked, and you were able to just play the chord because it was the right amount of pressure, it was the right spacing, and you could play that chord very clearly and very beautifully. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing, right? So keep at it. I can't emphasize that enough. Keep at it. Be consistent. Don't get discouraged. All right. Now, the bonus exercise, once you're able to get the bar sounding clearly across all strings, is you can kind of build the muscle or the endurance that you want when you're holding the bar, is playing the chromatic scale but within the bar. So the chromatic scale is this exercise. Now trying to do the same thing, but every one note is within the bar. So you're holding a bar and you'll play this. Right? So there you go, a couple of exercises just to get you started. There's a lot of exercises, but the main thing is pick 1 or 2 and be consistent with them, and record yourself to see the progress that you make. And that's all you have to do, right? Stick with it, one exercise at a time. Focus on good quality sound, good quality notes. Be very intentional with it, and your hard work will pay off.